Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now this is going to be a short. I'm going to try to keep it down to 20 minutes. A theoretical and technical overview of some of the practical applications and the fundamental mechanisms of an alternating current system. Now, first of all, I ain't selling a damn thing. Okay, but what do you need me for? What do you need me to describe to you the mechanism of an alternating current generator when there's 50,000 YouTube videos describing the mechanism to you? Because that's all they're doing. They're giving you an accurate description. And I want you to hear me. They're giving you an accurate description of the effects of the phenomena that they do not fundamentally understand whatsoever. They're giving you an accurate description of the effects, the after effects of a phenomena that they do not understand whatsoever. To understand electromagnetic phenomena and reactance is to understand the fundamental mechanism of the universe, because as I said in an earlier post, the entire material universe is just one electrical circuit within another, within another, within another. It's a microcosm of electrical systems, right up to the spiral galaxies and down to the bacterial systems in your body. It's one electrical system after the other. Okay, and to fundamentally understand, listen, I guarantee if you give me 30 minutes of attention at the most, okay, because I'm going to give you something big, I'm going to give you something major right up front that I guarantee you can't find no place else on the internet. I guarantee you it's accurate. Listen, I'm not even going to go into the fact that the past 150 years of science have promulgated this notion of a signal that travels in the vacuum of empty space from uh, material transmitting antenna to uh, point A to point B in a linear fashion with a force vector. Uh, you know, a transverse magnetic component, which is um, you know, continuously oscillating back from an electrostatic E field to a magnetic B field, 90 degrees out of phase with one another. Now, the past 100 years of science have promulgated this notion, this abstract, and there ain't no such thing happening. Because, ladies and gentlemen, for 15 years I was under the illusion that the alternation and the polarization was moving in was a back and forth polarization or oscillation, back and forth. The electrons were moving. But no, ladies and gentlemen, the oscillation is in and out of 3 dimensions. That's where it's in and out. It ain't back and forth. It's in and out. So now I'm going to get down. So the first thing I need to bring you to a fundamental understanding on before you can understand what's going on with the generator fundamentally. Now I guarantee this ain't to be found no place else on it. Because fundamentally, listen, when I get you to a fundamental understanding of matter, guess what you get simultaneously when you get to a fundamental understanding of what matter is? You get to a fundamental understanding of what gravity is as well. I mean, to fundamentally understand matter is to fundamentally understand what gravity is. Now, so, therefore, let us begin. All bodies that are at apparent rest, and I want to emphasize apparent rest, because we often forget that even when a man is standing dead still, he is doing so upon a celestial body called Earth, which is moving at thousands of miles per hour through the universe. on a rotational 360-degree rotational frequency that is roughly equivalent to the velocity of 1,000 miles an hour upon its own axis. And then it's in orbit around the sun. And then the solar system itself is in orbit in the galaxy, and the galaxy's spinning. So the only place that there's rest and equilibrium is with respect and when measured against the reference point of the Earth that body's standing upon. The only place that there's rest is between my feet and the ground that they're standing on. Right? So otherwise, and the only reason that I appear to be static, things appear to be static, is because when I'm standing dead still, I'm moving right along in phase with the electromagnetic field of the Earth. I'm moving right along with the merry-go-round. And so that's why you got to consider our perspective. We're looking at things. So now, I ain't never been to outer space. I ain't never been beyond the Earth's electromagnetic influence. But I'll take it upon good faith that you float away when you get out of the Earth's electromagnetic influence. It's so-called gravitational, which it's electrostatic. When you get out of the Earth's electromagnetic influence, I'll take it on good faith that, you float away. And the reason you float away is because you've lost your reference point. You're an ungrounded conductor. You've lost your ground literally. But you've lost your reference point. There ain't nothing for you to be in difference with. And I have went on for 2 weeks hollering that before you can have a voltage, or before you can have a difference of anything, you got to have 2 material points in 3 dimensions. Now, so just so we're clear, a body at rest is not actually at rest. It's only at rest relative to the ground it's standing upon. So it's moving with all the momentum and kinetic energy of the Earth itself, though. So it ain't static, but it appears to be static because it's moving right along in phase with the merry-go-round. Right? So it's in phase. Now, so guess what? That electrostatic potential will all matter. So therefore all matter has an electrostatic potential, which is directly proportional to its mass, its physical mass, or its weight. So you might say a man that's 250 pounds is 250 volts of electrostatic potential. So now what is voltage defined as? Now, before I go too far, I don't know if I've already done so many takes here, but it ain't gonna hurt you if I have already done it. So I want you to consider these are 2 iron pots, or 2 pieces of iron. And I've heated both of these pieces of iron with a torch to 120 degrees. Now, if I make physical contact between the two, is there going to be any energy transfer? Is there going to be a thermal reactance? Absolutely not, because you cannot go someplace that you're already set. Can't go where you're already at. There's no distance. Now, however, if I got one that's at 40 degrees or whatever, as long as, this one's at 40 and this one's at 20, then I got a 20 volt drop. I got 20 volt, I got a drop or a distance. So, you got to have a difference of potential, for one thing. So, what we need to get clear on first is matter. Okay, matter, a body at rest, see, we often associate inertia with the physical girth or weight of a thing, because the textbook classical definition of inertia is a resistance to change. And so obviously, the bigger an object is, the more force that will have to be applied when it's at rest to move. That's obvious. However, inertia is not simply a phenomenon that is related to mass. It is also related to velocity, or proportional to velocity. For instance, now say I got a 45 caliber bullet, and I throw it at you with my hand. Oh hell, I mean, you can resist that. That's gonna bounce right off your skin. You're gonna resist. However, if I take that bullet and fire it through the barrel of a gun, and increase the velocity tenfold, it's gonna blow a hole through. So inertia, or electrostatic potential, increases with velocity and mass. So now if you sit and think about that for a minute, you might figure out that, which I ain't gonna go down that road, but not publicly. If you sit and think there for a minute, you might be able, it might dawn up on you. This whole problem of, wireless transmit, the wireless transmission of power. It's because we got to have kinetic, with frequency FM modulation, we got to have power supply on both ends. We got to plug into the grid on both ends to get a signal. Because that's what we got to do to get the antenna in rest. We got to have a power supply. But now with amplitude modification, you ain't got to have no power supply. So you understand what I'm getting at here? We can take a small, if we can work out the inertial mass to velocity and the inertial equivalent. We can rotate on one end and have a static device, receiver on the other. They do it for amplitude modification and crystals. They proved that 100, how many years ago, they proved that you didn't need a power supply with amplitude modification and a crystal. But if you use amplitude modification, that's directly related to magnetism and the matter side of the equation, centrifugal. So amplitude modification does not require a power source at the receiver. So that's the part I'm going to go with that. So we got to get it. We still ain't got finished with matter yet. Okay, so all matter, a body at apparent rest is not at rest. In reality, it's not at rest. The only equilibrium exists between it's between the reference points of the body at rest and the mass it's resting upon. So, and all matter by its very existence in 3 dimensions, has polarized the medium on 2 apparent axes. However, when it's still in phase with the Earth, see, I want you to consider for a minute. Now, I want you to consider it from the perspective of this mag. Okay. Point of zero potential is right there. It's right dead in the center of it. But now, forget about all these field lines. I want sitting still, dead still up on a shelf somewhere. Now, what force, from the perspective of the magnet, is being exerted upon the magnet itself, from its perspective? The only force it's feeling is the one that's keeping it glued to the ground, called gravity. And that is as a result of a difference of electrostatic potential between it and the Earth. It's not static. So when a body's at rest, when a body is at rest, it's only at rest with relation or relativity to the what it's at rest upon, what it's resting upon, which is the Earth, which itself is moving at thousands of miles an hour through the universe. So that's apparently static piece of matter contains all the kinetic energy, untold proportion of kinetic energy. Now, you ever wonder why all these megaliths, see, all these energetic phenomena and anomalies that go on around these megalithic structures or monoliths, you know, absolutely they go on around because they are the matter itself is the energy. So yeah, absolutely. The pyramids were power stations, and their point of zero potential right at the top of them. That's why they're shaped like a pyramid. That's where that's the least potential. Zero potential at the top of the pyramid. Them Egyptians knew something. They knew shit, buddy. It's the mass. That's what is going on around these monoliths. That's the reason it's going on. It's directly related to the energy is, the energy is not something that can be separated from mass. Two things don't exist independent of one another. And here's your nut. So before I go off running on a tangent somewhere, now there's a couple things I want to show you about this magnet. Now, another thing about this magnet here is now how far I'm in here. I'm 20 minutes in. Now this is a coherent piece of matter. Now what do I mean by coherent? Okay. Now what is the difference between this piece of matter and another piece of matter that's exactly the same dimensions and weight that it's not magnetized? A 2-pound piece of iron that is magnetized and a 2-pound piece of iron that ain't magnetized. What is the difference between those two? Same quantity. However, the outer molecular structure, the difference is coherency. It's one word called coherency. Okay, so the outer molecular structure of this permanent magnet here, okay, well, it has channels, called magnetic domains is what they're called, but they're no different than the meridian channels, which an acupuncturist is trying to open up when he goes down through them. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to open the energy channels up. And that's the same. That's what you do when you take a magnet and you run it across a nail and magnetize. You have coherent or focused or made coherent. You have aligned its energy channels. Okay, but until this gets in the vicinity of another piece of matter, and when it's at rest, ain't none of this. I'm not gonna say the field's not manifested, because the very act of us looking upon it. But when we look at it from the magnet's perspective, the only force that it is experiencing or is being exerted upon it is the one that's got it glued to the ground, called gravity. Now gravity is same exact thing that we're calling voltage. Very exact same thing that we refer to. It's the exact same phenomenon. It's a difference of electrostatic potential between 2 points in 3 dimensions. Now, when we're talking in terms of an electrical circuit, those 2 points in 3 dimensions are the 2 terminals of a circuit. However, when we're talking in a much more complex natural system, electrical system called the Earth, which has 7 billion different points of reference walking around upon it. Now, so that's a little bit more complex. You know, the 3 points of reference you got in a, say, a split phase, single phase, or a 3 phase. You know, you got 7 billion different points of reference in the electrical system of the Earth. But the only place there's equilibrium for a body at rest, well, a body is, at apparent rest is only at rest when measured against the reference point of what it's at rest upon. And what it's at rest upon is not resting at all. Again, it's moving through the universe at untold velocity. And so, when we're moving right along with, and so we contain, we got our own potential. We're anchored to the medium. I've said before that all matter is anchored to the dielectric medium in the same manner, or anchored to the point of zero potential right here in you. There's points of zero potential all up and down. You call it the chakras, but the main one's right there at the solar plexus. That's dead center. It's a common term. Now, so this one is big megalithic structure. And again, the geometry and the physical size. The reason all these energetic phenomena are going on around these megaliths because the megaliths themselves that are where they're so huge, where they're so big. So obviously, you could geometrically align these and different. There's all kinds of shit you can do when you realize that all matter is just electrostatic potential, which is directly equivalent to its weight. So now where's the common terminal? The common terminal, I got a terminal right here, and the Earth's got so we're connected actually. We got a wire running. That's what you guys. That's their common terminal right there. It's point of zero potential. So, just like when I showed you these 2 pins here a while ago, and I said that one was at 20 degrees and the other's at 40 degrees, and then if I put them together, make physical contact, then there would be a thermal reaction because there's a difference of potential. However, okay, now, see, now, something's inertia or its electrostatic potential is directly proportional to its weight. So obviously the Earth is at megaton. You can't even wrap your head around the megaton or the megavolts. How many volts, of electrostatic potential that represents. So now in an electrical circuit, we got a difference of electrostatic potential between 2 terminals. Oh, damn screen. Between 2 terminals of a circuit. However, in a natural electrical system of the Earth, we got a difference of electrostatic potential between 2 material points, and those 2 material points are your ass and the Earth, the ground you're standing upon. So instead of two terminals of a circuit, we got two material points, which are connected. You know, they're connected by, they're connected point zero potential. I've illustrated with a little wire here, but, point zero potentials everywhere and nowhere at the same time. What a quandary that is. So now gravity. I'll give you gravity. It's a direct result of a difference of electrostatic potential. It's no different than the difference of electrostatic potential that exists between two terminals of a circuit. Well, there's two material points in 3 dimensions. Except in gravity, in the case of gravity, those two material points are your body or a body at rest and the Earth. Those are two material points as well. They're just they're not thought of as points, but same there. There's gravity. That's actually what's going on with gravity. Now, past fucking month, I've done submitted an argument that I'm begging somebody's fucking butt that disproves there ain't no fucking signal going from transmission antenna to receiving antenna. Not the way we envision. That can't be happening. Because let me tell you what's essential. Now we're gonna get into it, but I ain't gonna get into the generator because I had to get you to matter. I had to get you to what matter is. Now, do you understand what matter is now? Matter is an electrostatic potential, which is it's a body at rest. When you're standing still, you're only at rest relative and in relation to what you're at rest upon. And what you're at rest upon is moving an untold 1,000 miles an hour through the universe. And you got all that, so you're carrying all that kinetic potential. You're moving right along with it. So, and then you float off when you get out of the vicinity of the Earth or get away from the influence of the Earth's electromagnetic field. Reason you float away is because you lost your reference point. You ain't got no other point of reference. You've lost your ground. You're an ungrounded conductor. And so, another thing I want to point out to you right here is now when we out in the field, when we man out in the field, we look at two terminals of a circuit. And never mind this transformer, but this. But when we're looking at the two terminals of a circuit, it often don't dawn upon us that those two conductors are actually the same conductor because they're connected back through the stator windings. These conductors are connected. This is a boundary condition. One of the primary, the circuit conductors, they serve several essential functions. One of them's a boundary condition. If I just take a magnet, spin it in free space with no boundary, with no stator windings to see, the terminals of every circuit are simply the extension of a boundary condition which has been created back in the generator stator field and enclosed the kinetic physical input. It has enclosed and formed a 3-point perimeter around in a 3-phase distribution system. three-phase distribution system. We formed a 3-point perimeter. We have enclosed. Now, the definition of a field, again, the proper definition of a field is a localized polarization which has been isolated between the two material points of termination. Or 3, we've enclosed an area of, now I was going to call it dielectric medium, the ether, but we've enclosed 3-dimensional space. And that ain't the same thing. I don't know, I had to think about what I just said there, but I have to think on that more if I make a final ruling on it. But what? A 3-point perimeter is what we have established around this bar mat. Now, if we didn't have this perimeter enclosing it, well, we could spin that mag till cows come home, and we wouldn't even have a signal. They can't be no signal till if they ain't no boundary. If they ain't no boundary for it, they ain't gonna be no signal no way till I mean, it's manifesting over here in 3 dimensions. Until there's a reaction between source and load. Okay, now for instance, now electricity is the direct result of it's a direct byproduct. Ain't nobody ever give you this and this proper definition. I guarantee you this definition stands. And remember where all this came from. I've given you gravity, and I've told you, listen, science has been telling you things a signal. Past 100 years, 150 years, scientists have promulgated the notion of an electrostatic E field and a magnetic B field that propagates the vacuum of empty space from material point A to material point B on a positive force vector. But guess what? How in the hell you got an electrostatic E field or a magnetic B field and you ain't got no material poles there to contain it? See, if that's a boundary condition, the signal's lost. It pops out, goes out in the ether, and is swallowed up. That's what Tesla was talking about. A longitudinal displacement or longitudinal compression wave. Instantaneously, it basically just, soon as, if there were such thing as a signal detaching, magnetism cannot exist in the absence of physical matter, nor can electrostatic potential. You can't have the E field or the B field without material conductors there to isolate it and boundary it off. Because, yeah. If you ain't got that boundary there, you can't even make a signal. If I just spin that permanent magnet, I did have a diagram there. Okay, now if I would just spin this magnet, now then there's that centrifugal divergence. But if there ain't nothing for it to react with, then this is entirely metaphysical. Till it comes into reaction with something, just like sound. There ain't no sound till it hits your eardrum. There's a disturbance that is created on one. There's a material. Now there's material matter. When a tree falls in the forest, okay, now the tree is material matter, and it falls and it's said displaced open air. Well, that material source has got to come in. It creates a metaphysical displacement or disturbance in the open air medium, which is metaphysical. And until it comes into contact with your eardrum, there ain't no vibration, because there can't be no vibration. Because vibration requires, just like force requires, the feeling of it. Sound requires the hearing of it. Sight requires the seeing of it. Thought requires the thinking. So, but there ain't no point being is there ain't no static. Everything's a verb. There ain't no nouns in, because your mind ain't one thing, and the function of it is another. Because if you can tell me a time that you're consciously awake and you ain't thinking, is there ever a time when you're consciously awake and you're not thinking? Absolutely not. So, as long as I've got you, this video is it's already at 36 now. This video was dedicated to getting you to a fundamental understanding of math. And that should have simultaneously got you to an understanding of what fucking physics professors for 100 years ain't been able to get you to an understanding of gravity. Gravity is a result of a difference of electrostatic potential between two material points in 3 dimensions. Now, those two material points ain't the terminals of a circuit, but a body at rest, and the body it's resting upon. And the body at rest is like I said, it's only at equilibrium with respect and relative to the earth that it's standing upon. Between the bottoms of my feet and the ground, there's zero potential. However, between the top of my head and the ground, there ain't. There's a difference of potential, which is there's a potential. My electrostatic potential is directly proportional to my mass. So it's directly proportional to it. And inertia. So, what is a matter's electrostatic potential? Body at rest represents a apparently static electrostatic potential, but it ain't static. It's only static in reference to the Earth. But the Earth, it's only Earth, and it's moved, so it's an electrostatic potential, but it ain't static at all. It contains all the kinetic energy of the rotating, spiraling galaxy. So, now that's the input. The reason you need to understand matter to understand an alternating current generator, the reason the first thing you need to understand is matter. It's because that's our kinetic input. That's our kinetic input. We take and we hook it to a prime mover. And that's why we better be getting our fucking. If we done linked our prime movers up to, and I ain't even gonna talk about them, but we can't lose them. We can't lose them natural prime movers. So, but we're spending the math. We're spending the material. What we're doing is we're collapsing a three-dimensional. See, what most people have come to on good faith in the current scientific model accepted in academia. Well, I come to by avenues all my own that this entire three-dimensional world is a byproduct of a circular frequency. you know, and it's on a circular 360-degree frequency, and you can look at the different, when you look at a coil, which I ain't going to go into all that right now, they try to keep the information not compartmentalized, but so as long as you got the point that all matter is electrostatic, it represents its weight is an electrostatic potential. And why it's stuck to the ground is because there's something called voltage, which is defined as the difference of electrostatic potential between 2 points in 3 dimensions. Now, if I apply a positive force and climb up a cliff, that ain't no different from me applying a positive force and pulling a rubber band back. Creating a difference. I'm creating a difference of potential. Higher I go. Now see, I initially postulated that before matter could enter 2 dimensions, or 3 dimensions, it had to come through 2 dimensions. See, the field is a 2-dimensional scalar potential. A field's a tight string. But the field ain't there unless it's in motion in a magnetic field. So the electrostatic E field and the magnetic B field are the very same polarization, obviously. We already know that. The electrostatic E field and the magnetic B field. The magnetic B field is the electrostatic E field. In motion, 9 degrees out of phase. And so people understand our oscillation ain't back and forth. It's in and out of 3 dimensions. And say you was out in outer space. Say you was to float away out in outer space. Well, I heard an argument made, and it's correct. You wouldn't be able, the sun ain't even shining. The sun would be black. You'd be able to see the earth. You'd be able to see the reflection. I don't know. It makes, see, now it looks like black empty space until at potential. Now, just like when you close your eyes, that's electrostatic potential, right? And just like the electrostatic half of it is the yin or whatever. The yin yang, it represents the duality. The black half, that's electrostatic. That's the potential. So no, there ain't no oscillation back and forth. There's one in and out. And when, for instance, now on a resistive load, now so you got 3 different kinds of load. You got an inductive load, magnetic load. Electric motor, that's an inductive load. And then you got resistive loads, which are an incandescent light bulb, heating element, another. Now, what happens with a resistive load is when that sine wave hits when that coherent sine wave hits that filament, that light bulb, well, it scatters that coherent sine wave out in all different directions in 3 dimensions. And it's longitudinal displacement, positive displacement, longitudinal. But until it hits your eyeball, it's purely metaphysical. Because there ain't no light till it reacts.